Hey, hey, hey. Namaste, witchlings. It's Di. And I need y'all to buckle the fuck up. Because I am pissed today. Not annoyed. Not irritated. Not, that's kind of frustrating. I am fucking livid. The kind of livid that lives in your jaw and your chest. The kind that tightens your shoulders and curls your hands into fists without asking permission. The kind that makes it hard to breathe normally because your body already knows something is deeply, violently wrong. And in all honesty, if you are not angry right now, this episode might make you just a smidge bit uncomfortable. Good. Sit with that discomfort. Don't scroll past it. Don't spiritually bypass it. And don't slap a love and light sticker over it and pretend it went away. Our Sanskrit word of the week this week is Svādhyāya, self-study. But let me be abso-fucking-lutely clear. Not the cute, sanitized Instagram version. Not the journal a little, light a candle, pull a card, and call it healing bullshit. Svadhyaya is radical self-examination. It is the practice of dragging your beliefs into the light and asking where the fuck they came from. It's looking at what you say you value. Justice, compassion, equality, empathy. And comparing that to what you actually tolerate. Svadhyaya asks you to look at yourself without flinching. No excuses, no hiding behind politeness or comfort or, well, that's just how things are. So no, today I am not here to soothe you, and I am most certainly not here to make this shit palatable. I am here to ask you a question that will probably piss you the fuck off. Who are you really? When the people being harmed don't look like you. Because right now, the world is on fucking fire. People are being brutalized in plain sight. And some of y'all are still pretending you're neutral. Spoiler alert. Neutrality is a choice. And it ain't a good one. So, my friends, I'm going to take a sip, and we're going to get started talking about the shit that's got me pissed this week. If I can get my water open. Yeah. Don't forget to do the whole like, share, and subscribe thing. It kind of gets our reach out there a bit more. I am doing this so y'all watch me do it and you know what I'm drinking. I know what color it turns. I couldn't find another flavor tonight. All right, y'all. We are talking once again about ice. Let's start with the most obvious rage point here, my friends. U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Again. Still. Always. You hear this acronym again and again and again because it is everywhere these days. But just to be abundantly clear for the people listening who want to fall into jargon complacency. ICE is a federal law enforcement agency formed in March of 2003 as part of the reorganization after the terrorist attacks on September 11th of 2001. Its mission is to enforce federal laws governing border control, customs, trade, and immigration across the interior of the United States. But that's the official language. Don't let policy language lull you into thinking this is just bureaucracy. Because what this action looks like on the ground is pain, terror, loss, and death. Yes, I said death. Families are still being torn apart. Mothers, fathers, siblings, grandparents, all shattered under the cold language of enforcement. Children screaming as they're ripped from their parents' arms, sometimes as they're being dropped off at school. There was a daycare where a mother dropped her child off at daycare after being followed for a mile. Here in Issaquah, Washington, the mother dropped the child off, the teacher took custody of the child, and the mother was taken away. Was ist das? Children screaming as they are ripped from their parents' arms. People are being detained at work, at court as they are walking into their immigration appointments, and at the fucking mailbox. And then in Minnesota, where the focus of this current surge is, the presence of thousands of federal agents is not abstract. It is violence in fucking real time. There are more ICE agents in Minnesota than there are undocumented immigrants in Florida. Did I get that backwards? Anyway, now, correction. Okay, I had my facts wrong. I'm getting numbers jumbled in my head. There are more ICE agents than in any other city, and there are more undocumented immigrants, correction, in Florida than there are in Minnesota. Figure that one out. Why are they focusing on Minnesota? Now, by at least a factor of 10. Now, before anybody tries to say this is all an exaggeration or a misunderstanding, let's talk about flashbangs and tear gas because, well, that happened too. There was a family coming home after feeding the homeless. Let me repeat that bit. They were out feeding the homeless. Kids in the backseat, groceries and supplies in the car, no weapons, zero threat to anybody, zero criminal activity. ICE agents deployed flashbangs and tear gas anyway on a family vehicle with kids inside. Those kids didn't just get scared a little bit. They ended up in the ER. Coughing, burning eyes, respiratory distress, and trauma that doesn't just disappear because someone later goes, oops, sorry. And if your first instinct is to ask, well, what did the family do? What did the parents do? Stop right there. That instinct right there, that's Svādhyāya tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, pay attention to yourself, because no amount of paperwork, suspicion, or procedure justifies chemical weapons being used on children. Period. Full stop. Children. Flashbangs and tear gas are not crowd control when they're used on families. They are acts of terror. And when the response afterward from human beings is silence, excuses, or, well, the agents were following protocol, we need to be honest about what that protocol actually prioritizes, and it sure as fuck ain't human life. Let that one burn in your gut for just a minute. Because this isn't just some remote border enforcement operation. This shit is happening in people's neighborhoods. And it is not isolated. Just this week, A U.S. citizen, repeating those words, U.S. citizen, named Chongli Scott Thao, was detained at gunpoint by ICE inside his home, forced outside in sub-freezing weather while wearing nothing but his skivvies because agents claimed he matched a suspect description, even though he was a longtime citizen with a clean record. Think about that for a minute. He matched the suspect description, so they made him freeze outside in his goddamn skivvies, despite having a clean record and having been a citizen for years. You don't have to be undocumented to be terrorized by this agency, do ya? You just have to be somewhere federal enforcement decides to escalate. Okay, so let me say this one slowly so the folks in the back who still want to treat this just policy can hear every fucking word. There is no moral version of terrorizing children, and there is no ethical framework where killing a mother in her car while her kid waits at school is okay. There is no compassionate justification for dragging a fucking citizen from his home and parading him around outside in near zero temperatures without apology. No, just no. And yet, here the fuck we are. Operation after surge after crackdown. Agents in unmarked trucks. Tear gas near schools. Whistles and cell phones in the hand of community observers who are simply trying to document what's happening because they fear for their neighbors. And this isn't ancient history. It is happening right the fuck now. This is violence rolling through everyday American neighborhoods. This is parents being killed. This is citizens being terrorized. This is people's dignity being stripped the fuck away under the banner of national security. So let's unpack that for a minute, because this is where Svādhyāya kicks in, where it kicks your door in. Radical self-study, deep soul interrogation. If you're okay with any of that, with children being terrorized, mothers being murdered, and all of that, if your response is, well, that's tough, but it's the law, if you just shrug and think it's just the cost of security, then Svādhyāya wants you to look yourself square in the face and ask, what exactly are you defending? Because, my friends, here's the truth nobody usually says out loud. When you defend the system in the face of brutality, you are not defending law. You are defending violence justified by bureaucracy. You're defending a version of justice that says some lives matter more than others, but God forbid we say Black lives matter, and that harm can be hidden behind policy papers and enforcement mandates. And that, my witchlings, is not justice. That is power claiming moral authority while actively harming people. And policy language, hollow phrases like lawful removement or immigration enforcement, does not change the fact that real human beings are being terrorized and killed. This is not abstract or philosophical. This is not abstract or philosophical. This is actual violence carried out in everyday places, neighborhoods, homes, school zones, the local parking lot of your gods be damned Target. So, let me ask you deeply, personally, and with zero bullshit. When you hear about a mother being shot in her car after dropping her child off at school because an ICE agent decided she was a threat, what does your heart tell you? And more importantly, does your outrage match that moral intuition? Svādhyāya doesn't let you hide behind comforting lies like it's complicated or both sides. Svādhyāya says, look at what this behavior does to real people. Look at how your acceptance of it shapes your soul. And look at whether your values, justice, compassion, dignity actually align with what you tolerate. And if there's dissonance there, if there is dissonance between what you believe and what you're okay with, that's where your work begins. Because being human isn't about pretending the world isn't burning the fuck down. It's about acknowledging when the flames are lapping at our neighbor's feet and deciding whether we stay asleep or wake the fuck up. And if you're still comfortable with this being just another policy debate, then Svādhyāya wants to know why. Not rhetorically or politely. We want to know honestly. Because the silence of comfortable people is what allows brutality to keep happening. And that, witchlings, that is the shit we are not allowed to ignore. Now, let's actually talk about Minnesota. Because if this right here doesn't make your stomach turn, I genuinely need you to examine your soul. And I'm not saying this to be cute. I mean that as a genuine spiritual diagnosis, like, sweetheart, darling, your conscience might be sleeping on the job here. So here's what happened, all right? In St. Paul, Minnesota, protesters interrupted a church service at City's Church because they believe one of the pastors, David Easterwood, is also the acting director of the local ice field office. Let me say that one again, because y'all really got to hear this. I'm going to say it slow so it lands where it needs to. A man preaching love, grace, compassion, while actively, allegedly, holding authority in a system that cages human beings and shatters families. And I do not want to hear the, but he's just doing his job line. That's as bad as he was just following orders. Not today, not on my show or in my chat, and most definitely not in my spiritual house, y'all. Because here's the thing. Jobs are choices. And the people who benefit from violence always want you to treat their choices like weather. Oh, it's just how it is. Oh, it's complicated. Oh, it's policy. No, we can't mix politics and church. Let me be abundantly clear here, my friends. You cannot serve both God and the boot. You don't get to preach mercy on Sunday and then turn around and oversee cruelty on Monday. You don't get to lay hands on people in prayer while other hands are dragging people into vans on your orders. You don't get to talk about the love of Christ and then participate in a machine that thrives on fear, surveillance, and force. I'm emphasizing machine because how many people are complaining about Rage Against the Machine going woke? What machine did you think they were raging against? And if your immediate response to his church being entered is, church isn't the place for protest, honey, I need you to sit very quietly, like real quietly, and ask yourself, why does the disruption of the service bother you more than the violence? Because the sheer audacity of it, the sheer polished audacity, the way some people are clutching their pearls over a raised voice in a sanctuary while shrugging at the little kids crying in terror outside of it. Oh my God, they interrupted worship! Okay. What the fuck do you call it when families are interrupted, when lives are interrupted, when safety is interrupted, when childhood is interrupted and a mother doesn't come home? Be for fucking real. Now, let's talk about the protest itself. The Justice Department announced an investigation into the disruption, and media reports have mentioned potential federal law implications. Do you know what is absolutely wild about that? The speed at which power mobilizes to protect its comfort. The system hears a chant in a church and goes, oh, we gotta respond. But it hears people begging for accountability and goes, it's complex, it's unclear, we'll get back to you on that. Svādhyāya, self-study, that requires us to notice that impulse in ourselves as well. Because some of you are listening right now and thinking, well, they shouldn't have done it there. That's disrespectful. They're making Christians look bad. They're dividing people. Okay. Pause. Breathe. Svādhyāya moment after I take a sip. Oh. When something is unethical, why the fuck is your first instinct to police tone instead of confronting the harm? That is not a rhetorical question, my friends. That's the mirror. Because if you are more upset about noise in a sanctuary than violence in the street, then you are not protecting holiness. You, my friends, are protecting comfort. And I'm sorry, but Christianity, the Christianity people say they believe in that I was raised in, is not built on comfort. It's built on sacrifice, truth, and defending the vulnerable. Let's bring in the example people keep trying to sanitize. We're going to talk about Jesus. Yes, I said it, Jesus. Because Jesus flipped tables. Jesus disrupted power. Jesus pissed off the authorities. And Jesus didn't go, oh, shucks, I didn't want to be impolite. He walked into a holy space that had become corrupted by exploitation, and he said, absolutely the fuck not. So, if you're telling me protest doesn't belong in church, I have to ask, are we reading the same book? Or are you reading a convenient summary that keeps you from having to do and think anything difficult? Because what those protesters were doing, whether you agree with their method or not, was making a point that you cannot hide behind worship and pretend you're still righteous while participating in harm. And now, my friends, here's where Svādhyāya really comes for your throat. Because it's not just about that pastor. It is about every single fucking one of us. Svādhyāya asks, what are the stories you tell yourself so you don't have to act? Do you tell yourself, well, I'm not political? Do you tell yourself, well, I didn't personally do it? Do you tell yourself, well, it's none of my business? Because the people getting hurt don't have the luxury of not my business, not my circus, not my monkeys. And I'm going to say something that might just sting a little bit. Sometimes the reason we hate protest is because it makes it harder to pretend we don't know. It breaks the spell of denial, and it forces the question into the room where it cannot be ignored. And that, my friends, is exactly what happened in St. Paul. The protest didn't happen in a random place. It happened in a place that symbolizes morality, authority, and goodness. Because if people in the pews are going to claim they serve a God of justice, then justice has to matter when it's inconvenient. All right, I'm not here to tell you you have to protest in a church. That is not our takeaway by any means. The takeaway is the mirror. Are you more upset that worship was interrupted or that people are being brutalized in the name of law and order? If your answer was the first one, honey, you've got some serious inner work to be doing. Because the boot doesn't just show up on someone's neck. It shows up in our values, our reflexes, our need for respectability, and most definitely in our insistence that oppressed people ask nicely while they're fucking bleeding. And Svādhyāya says, look at that. Look at what you defend automatically, what you excuse automatically, and what you condemn automatically. And then it's time to ask the real spiritual question. Am I the kind of person who wants righteousness or the kind of person who wants comfort? Because you can't have both when people are actively being harmed. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Sit with that. Oh, really? All right. Moving on. Now let's widen the lens a little bit. Because, y'all, if you think all of this violence and cruelty is just a domestic issue, just ICE, just immigration, just policing, honey child, you are missing the bigger, uglier picture. So, you are missing the uglier picture. Greenland. Yes, my friends, that Greenland. The fact that the idea of the United States occupying, acquiring, or otherwise asserting control over Greenland has resurfaced should make your blood run cold. Greenland. Gah! And if your gut reaction here isn't absolute fucking horror, Svadhyaya is knocking at your door, asking you what stories you have been telling yourself about power. Because let's get something straight right here, right now. Greenland is not empty land. It is not a blank space on a map. It is not a resource cache waiting to be exploited. It is not a strategic toy for powerful nations to pass around like a motherfucking football. It is home. Greenland is home to people, families, culture, language, history, and lineage, and into indigenous Inuit communities whose relationship to that land is older than the fucking United States itself. And yet, here we are once again, watching powerful men talk about land the way colonizers always have. Like it's something that can be taken, bought, or secured for someone else's fucking benefit. What makes this moment especially chilling, my friends, is that NATO allies, yes, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, an organization the United States is a member of, have begun increasing their presence in Greenland to protect it from us. Let that one register for a minute. Let that hit your gut. Our so-called allies are preparing to defend a territory from us. That, my friends, should terrify you. Because this isn't strength. This isn't leadership. This is empire rot. This is what fascism looks like when it believes it's untouchable. Expansion, domination, dehumanization, all dressed up in the language of security, strategic interests, and national defense. Now here's where people start screaming, well, it's complicated. No. It's actually not at all. It's the same fucking logic that's been used for centuries. We want it, therefore we deserve it. We're stronger, therefore we get to decide. We'll say it's for everyone's good, whether they want it or not. Darlings, that logic has names, and none of them are good or friendly. Imperialism, colonialism, fascism. Now, if those words make you uncomfortable, good, because they're supposed to. Svādhyāya, radical self-study, asks you to pause here and interrogate your reflexes. Do you believe that some nations get autonomy while others get occupied? Do you believe self-determination is sacred only when it benefits people who look like you or vote like you? And do you believe might makes right when your side is the one holding the gun? Because here's something a lot of people don't like to admit. If you're okay with imperialism when it benefits you, you're not confused, you be compromised. You don't suddenly become ethical just because the flag on the tank matches your passport. And this is where the Greenland conversation connects directly back to ICE, policing, and every fucking thing else we've been talking about. It's the same world view. The worldview that says some people matter more than others, some lives are expendable for the sake of order, and some land can be taken because someone powerful wants it. Whether it's a mother shot in the face in her car, children tear-gassed on the way home from feeding the homeless, indigenous people forced to justify their existence, or an entire nation treated like a chess square, it all comes from the same fucked up poisoned root. The belief that power grants moral authority. And Svādhyāya demands that we look at how deeply that belief lives inside of us. Because a lot of people like to say, well, I'm not a fascist. Okay, cool, groovy. But that's not the question. The question is, do you excuse fascist behavior when it's wrapped in your country's flag? Do you minimize harm when it's done for security? Do you tell yourself that it's different this time? Because, my friends, that is how fascism survives. Not just through leaders, but through ordinary people who convince themselves it's not that bad. Greenland is not a hypothetical. This is not science fiction. This is happening in real time with real geopolitical consequences and real people caught in the middle. And if our allies are preparing defenses, that should tell you everything you need to know about how dangerous this rhetoric has become. So, Svādhyāya asks you to sit with this. What do you believe your country is entitled to? Where did that belief come from? And who taught you that domination equals safety? Ooh, I bet for a lot of us that goes back to childhood when we were being spanked by our parents. Because safety built on someone else's fear isn't safety. It's occupation. And liberation, real, genuine liberation, doesn't come from expansion. It comes from restraint, respect, and recognizing that sovereignty, dignity, and self-determination are not negotiable, not for individuals, and certainly not for nations. Sovereignty, dignity, and self-determination are not negotiable for people or nations. So, if you're feeling a little bit uneasy right now, good. That unease is the crack where the truth is getting in. And if you're still defending this shit, Svādhyāya isn't done with you yet. All right. Gotta take another drink. Oh, God. All right, my friends. Let's go ahead and bring this home now. This is the part where I stop. This is the part where I stop talking about them, the agencies, politicians, systems, and headlines, and start talking about you. Yes, you. Because Svādhyāya, real Svādhyāya, does not let you outsource responsibility. It doesn't let you point endlessly at villains and pretend you're untouched by the system that keeps them in power. It doesn't let you say, well, I'm a good person, and call it a day. That screams not all men. Svādhyāya asks you to sit alone with this shit. No audience, no applause, no curated social feed, just you and the truth. So let's ask the questions you cannot dodge. Are you okay with people being judged by the color of their skin? And I don't mean, do you say you're not racist? I mean, are you okay with it in practice? when it shows up as policy, as profiling, when it shows up as who gets believed, who gets surveilled, who gets shot, who gets detained, and who gets the benefit of the doubt. Are you okay with women being shot to death while complying? Because that's not a hypothetical. That's not metaphor. That is a woman following instructions and not making it home. That is a mother whose kid waited at school for a parent who never came back. And if your reaction is to immediately ask what she did wrong, Svadhyaya is already raising an eyebrow. Are you okay? Are you okay with children being traumatized for life because their parents dared to exist while brown? Kids with chemical burns in their eyes from tear gas. Kids waking up screaming because they watched armed agents swarm their family. Kids who now associate uniforms, authority, and safety with fucking terror. And if your answer to any of those questions is no, and I sure to hell hope it is, then here's the follow-up that actually matters. What directly the fuck are you doing about it? Because outrage without action is just performance. It's catharsis for you, not protection for anybody else. And silence? My friends, silence is not neutrality. Silence is not peacekeeping. Silence is not staying out of it. Silence is consent. Silence is taking the side of the oppressor and the violent ones. You don't get to say, well, that's awful, and then vote, donate, speak, and behave in ways that uphold the system causing the harm. You do not get to repost a hashtag and then clutch your pearls when someone disrupts the status quo. You don't get to call yourself compassionate while protecting your comfort at the expense of someone else's life. Svadhyaya does not let you off the hook like that. It says, look at yourself, your comfort, and what you are willing to sacrifice and what you're not. Because, here's the thing, most injustice is not upheld by cartoon villains. It's upheld by ordinary people who benefit just enough to look away. Pretending who don't like what's People who don't like what's happening, but don't dislike it enough to risk anything. People who say, well, I agree with you, but it's complicated, but it's not my lane, but I don't want to cause drama, but I might lose friends, but I might lose followers, but I might lose my comfort. Svadhyaya hears every one of those buts and asks a very simple question. Who pays the price for your comfort? Because someone always does. And I want to be abundantly clear here. This is not about purity. This is not about being perfect. And this is not about shaming people who are learning or unlearning. This here is about honesty. Honesty about where you are complicit, where you are passive, and where you benefit from systems you claim to oppose. Svadhyaya is the practice of telling yourself the truth, even when that truth is inconvenient and uncomfortable as fuck. It's noticing when you feel defensive and asking why. It's noticing when you feel called out and asking what part of you feels threatened. It's noticing when your first instinct is to explain, excuse, or minimize and asking what you're protecting. Because, my loves, growth doesn't come from being comfortable. It comes from being accountable. And here's where I want to slow this down for a second, because I know there are some of you out there thinking, okay, but what do you want me to do? What I want you to do is I want you to stop lying to yourself about what you can't do. You can vote with intention. You can donate to organizations doing the work on the ground. You can show up when people protest instead of critiquing it from your couch. You can speak up in rooms where silence is the default. You can challenge racist jokes, policies, and assumptions even when it's awkward, especially when it's awkward. You can stop giving your time, money, and energy to people and institutions that actively harm others. None of that requires you to be a hero. It requires you to be honest. Because the truth is, most of the time the question isn't what should I do, it's what am I unwilling to give up? Svādhyāya asks you to name that. Name the relationships you're protecting, the platforms you're protecting, the sense of security, superiority, or innocence you are protecting. And then ask yourself, without flinching, whether those things are worth the cost. Because here's the hardest truth of all. There is no version of justice that doesn't inconvenience the people who benefit from injustice. None. Zilch. No. If your values never cost you anything, they're not values. They're aesthetics. And Svadhyaya is ruthless about that distinction. It says, stop performing morality and start practicing it. It says, stop telling yourself you're on the right side and start acting like it. It says, stop waiting for someone else to fix this. You don't need to be perfect, fearless, or do everything, but you do very desperately need to do something. Because the world doesn't change when people agree quietly. It changes when people refuse to cooperate with harm. So, sit with this question this week. Not once, not casually, but deeply. Who am I when it costs me something to care? Who am I when speaking up risks rejection? Who am I when doing the right thing disrupts my comfort? Who am I when neutrality is no longer an option? Svādhyāya isn't about self-improvement. It's about self-honesty. And if this segment made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the beginning of integrity. Stay with it for a minute. I know this wasn't gentle. That's good. It was never meant to be. You are not required to be comfortable while other people are being destroyed. You are not required to see both sides when one side is violence, domination, and dehumanization. You are not required to soften your voice to make cruelty easier for others to digest. What you are required to do, spiritually, ethically, humanly, is do better once you know better. And now you know. You don't get to unknow the families torn apart. You don't get to unknow mothers shot dead while complying. You don't get to unknow children tear-gassed, flashbanged, and traumatized. You don't get to unknow indigenous people forced to justify their existence. And you don't get to unknow land treated like a prize and power treated like morality. So, here's your Svadhyāya for the week. Not a mantra, not a journaling prompt you forget by Tuesday, but a question you carry in your body. Who am I when it costs me something to care? Not when it's easy or popular or earns applause. Who are you when caring risks discomfort? When it risks awkward conversations? When it risks being labeled too much, too angry, too political, and too loud? And don't rush to answer it. Don't polish it. Don't justify your way out of it. Let it burn. Because growth doesn't come from silence. It comes from truth. And sometimes truth is loud as fuck. Sometimes truth flips tables and cracks whips. Sometimes truth disrupts worship. Sometimes truth refuses to whisper politely while people are being harmed. That doesn't make it wrong. It makes it necessary. And now, this part very much matters, because rage without grounding will eat you alive. Let me remind you of something just as real as everything else we've talked about tonight. Spread love. Spread joy. And spread kindness. Not the performative kind, not the passive kind, but the kind that shows up. The kind that protects. The kind that refuses to abandon people when things get hard. There is enough hate and darkness in this world today. Let us choose to be beacons of light and hope for those stumbling, scared, and simply trying to find their own way. And while you're doing that, while you're fighting, resisting, unlearning, and growing, tell your loved ones what they mean to you. Loudly, often, and tell them no matter their form, human, furry, or whatever. Because time passes so much faster than anticipated, and none of us know how long we have. And then, if you take only one thing away from everything I do here every day, please let it be this. You are loved. You are wanted. You are needed. And you truly do have a reason for existing. You may not know what it is yet, and that's okay. It took me 45 years to find mine. And you, my witchlings? You're it. You are my reason. I love you guys to bits. You are the reason I am here every stinking day. I'm Di. This is Bitch and Witch. Namaste, witchlings. And fuck fascism. Checking in with chat. Okay. I wonder how many of them recognize what the fuck my shirt stands for. There's a reason I'm wearing this shirt tonight. I gotta get my hair out of my face. I'm getting warm. But I seriously wonder how many people recognize what my shirt is. Please, let me know in the chat if you do. I guess I should give them my pedigree here. DD-214. DD-214. That is the form that an active duty person signs when they are released from active duty, acknowledging that release. I am a veteran. I am a Navy brat. That same sailor, when he left the military, became a police officer, so I'm also a cop's kid. I am a Navy grand brat, twice over. My mother's parents were both active duty Navy during World War II, so you might say they were the original Antifa. 2 of my 3 older brothers served in the Navy. All 3 of my ex-husbands served in the Navy. It's actually how I met 2 of them. Let's see. My older brother was military, as well as military police, so I know what I'm talking about. Nope. I've heard... Yeah. Communicating with the producer. Confirming facts. All right. Yeah. We have had it set. I speak facts, not opinion here, my friend. This particular podcast, Bitch and Witch, I make sure I speak facts, less opinion. Anybody else have much to say? How long ago was their first comment? Mm-hmm. Go ahead. So your first comment was that I won't even read the comments? Yes, I check in with the comments. But yes, I stick to my script while I'm doing most of it. And we hide the comments from me because I will get distracted. I am an ADHD bitch. Witch. Both. So... Mm-hmm. Whoops. Hello. Those are the only comments showing up on the chat here. Alright. Clickety click. Though, yeah, I have 3 comments from you. That is it. Nope. Nothing has been moderated. So, either YouTube ate it, which happens. YouTube ate it. Believe what you want, my friend. I'm guessing you were the only moderator in here tonight. I have too many... Yeah, go ahead. Screenshot. That works. Live shot. That works. I feel like I bit the inside of my lip. We are going to show you your channel activity on my channel. It's actually only... yeah. This is fun to watch. Yep, I think so. That one. There we go. Yep. Ta-da! Hi. How many ITs does it take to operate a computer? Sorry, that was rude of me. We have. If you rewind to the beginning of the episode, you will see me squirt this shit into the bottle. It is Stir Strawberry Watermelon, because I can't find one of my electrolyte ones. And this potsy ass bitch needs her hydration. Yes, I am aware that the Muslim faith is anti-gay. Don't love it. Respect the fact that it is part of the religion. I also know that that is part of why my nephew no longer actively practices his faith. Nephew? Yeah, that works. No, I had to stop and think about what kiddo wanted me to call. But do I believe? I know he's. Do you know how hard it is for me to acknowledge that he is pushing 30? Sorry. Being reminded that the person I referred to as a kiddo is closer to 30 than I want to admit. Anyway. Do I approve of the fact that they are... Do I approve of the fact that a religion is essentially... No, not essentially. Is homophobic? Do I think that's the right way to go about things? No, because... ostracizing a person for something they have no control over just does not sit right with me. And so I don't like it. However, I am not the one in charge of that particular religion, and I have no say, so I can't control it. That is true too. The fact that I know what word should replace the English word in that statement just makes me want to giggle maniacally. I just don't know how to add the ing to the end of it. Conjugating Spanish verbs was never my best. Am I the Christian YouTuber you're referring to, hun? Because if I am, I got some news for you. I don't hate Christians. Never have. As I said, I grew up in the church. My grandfather was an Episcopal priest. I have great respect for the Episcopal Church. I'm trying to, okay, I'm not sure if Union is referring to the Muslims. Yeah. And I don't hate Muslims because I don't hate people based on their religion. I can dislike some of a religion's teachings. I absolutely loathe the Roman Catholic Church for many of their teachings. Do I hate the people who are Catholic? No, I've known quite a few really awesome Catholics. Yes, I hate behaviors I do not, and certain beliefs, but I don't hate the people. Dislike the organization, hate the people. There we go. I'm confusing the fuck out of myself. I can have absolutely zero... Hello, Jeff. I can have absolutely zero respect for a religion or an institution, but I will not hate the people who use it. I mean... Oh, dude, Muslims get mocked all the time by the right wing here in the States. And honestly, I'm an equal opportunity mocker. I will mock everything, including my own religion. Get me started about the fluffy bunnies. Oh my God. But okay, that's how I say it. I also grew up in a family that threw racial and religious slurs around like they were popcorn. I mean, I have made zombie Jesus jokes. Oh, wait. I made zombie Jesus jokes while I was going to church. I think I told my grandfather a couple of zombie Jesus jokes, and he loved them. My grandfather was weird, though. I am a survivor of trauma. And because of that, I all but go out of my way to not cause trauma to anyone. I am here to spread love, joy, and kindness, to impart knowledge and information to people who don't understand. I have this weird gift of being able to break things down and make them understandable for people. I love doing that. I love sharing knowledge. It's a me thing. It's my autism going, haywire. I will do it with sarcasm and snark because, hi, I'm a Zennial, Gen X thing. But I don't. To put it bluntly, I have been sexually assaulted and I don't even hate my assaulter. So I don't hate. Well, okay, there's one person, but she deserves it. It's just not part of who I am. I will make fun of people for stupid shit, but there are certain things that I will not do. If it is something that you choose to do, such as your religion, your hairstyle, your hair color, your glasses, your fashion, any of that, that's fair game. If it is something about you that you have zero control over, where you were born, your sexuality, the color of your skin, or any of those things, no, I'm not going to make fun of you. I am not going to make fun of someone for their income level or their social class, because oftentimes that is not something that is easily changeable. I will not mock someone for their disability. Hi, disabled. I already said I'm autistic, ADHD. I've got a bunch of shit going on. But I won't mock people for things that they cannot easily change about themselves. I will say this. I think that what the United States is pulling with the Iran situation is a bunch of bullshit. I am not up to date enough on what exactly is going on over there. Please trust me, this is not an invitation to tell me. So I am not going to speak to it. I am not one to pull shit out of my ass and talk about stuff I don't know about. That goes against every moral fiber I have. That's why when I was fact-checked at the beginning of this, when I fucked some of my numbers up, I corrected them as quickly as I could. Hey, DNA! God, good to see ya! I am nothing if not honest. And if you can prove that I have something wrong and I am incorrect about a fact, I will own up to it, I will apologize, and I will correct myself. Because that's how we learn. And, as I said during the podcast here, and courtesy of Maya Angelou, when we know better, we do better, or we can do better. That is my goal. I understand that I can't know everything about everything, but if I say something that is completely wrong and I get corrected, I will acknowledge it. I don't believe in covering up my mistakes. Really, guys. Bad source code needs to be deleted and redone. Yep. ¿Dónde está? Ah, okay. Oh, I see that now. Groovies. I see that. I do occasionally spit out some random Spanish phrases. I used to be semi-fluent. I've lost most of it over the last 30 years, but bits and pieces of it are coming back because I have an amazing family that moved in next door who are Hispanic, and I'm listening to them and remembering more. It's so glorious. I also have I have a weird obsession with the word glorious. Go figure. Yep. Okay. Well, that didn't work. All right, my darlings, my dears, my witchlings. We are usually here 1:30 p.m. Seattle time. I'm Seattle-based every day for Dai's Daily Divination and Self-Care. Come on over, watch me pull some tarot cards, some oracle cards, and we'll have some fun with it. Then we do chilling with the witchlings, which is basically what we're doing here. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my podcast nights. Yeah, I'm far less political. I keep politics out of my daily shows. Tuesday and Thursday nights are my podcasts. We talk politics and current events that have me pissed the fuck off on Tuesdays. Thursdays, we just weave our theme of the week and see how we weave our theme of the week into our witchcraft and yoga practices. Friday night, guided meditation. Wednesday night, we have midnight mass. We go live here about 10:30 p.m. Pacific time-ish. Yes. So come on back and hang out with us if you like what you're seeing. Otherwise, go out there and spread love, spread joy, spread kindness. Make sure your loved ones know that that they mean something to you. And if you take only one thing away from everything I do here, please let it be that you remember that you are loved, you are wanted, you are needed, and there is a reason you are here even if you don't know what it is yet. Took me till I was 45. I will see you guys all very, very soon. This internet mom loves you. Namaste, witchlings.